Oh, my goodness gracious. How could he say such a thing? Mitch McConnell must have a death wish, must immediately seek help and advice from his China-loving wife, Chow. Thing is, Donald Trump, in my opinion, is totally right. People have been wondering about Mitch McConnell, his wife, and ties to the Communist Party of China for a long time. Even folks in the liberal media, you are allowed to raise these questions. This is still America. I'd like to bring in Eric Eggers. He is the Vice President of Research at the Government Accountability Institute, co-host of the Drill Down podcast, and a great researcher. Eric, thank you for being here. What did you make of that tweet? The stylistic is the style, but isn't Donald Trump onto something?
I think he's absolutely onto something. And the reason we know he's onto something is because the actual substance of the post isn't being discussed. The media is selecting the most incendiary words, or what they claim to be the most incendiary words, with death wish and Chow. I mean, I have a pretty inappropriate sense of humor. That's not a racist term that I'm familiar with. It wasn't racist when the New York Times reported on Mitch McConnell and Elaine Chow's ties to the Chinese government in 2019. And I think you can tell that Donald Trump is absolutely correct because he's right. Mitch McConnell, by supporting the green giveaway and the Inflation Reduction Act and everything else that the Democrats have been able to do to pour money into unproven green technology, ultimately does end up benefiting China. But the ties are much more direct than that. Elaine Chow's father owns a company that does direct business with the Chinese government. So the facts are there for anybody to see if they're willing to take a look.
And by the way, these aren't just a couple of bank accounts in China. Take a look at this ship. This is a ship, I believe, owned by a company called Foremost, which is based, I believe, 70% in China, 30% in New York. This is the father's ship. This is his ship. Now, his daughter was the Secretary of Transportation, American Transportation. This, I believe, was constructed at a communist-owned facility. This would, I think, quite reasonably present a pretty substantial conflict of interest, right?
Especially when you consider that when she was Transportation Secretary under Donald Trump, the Transportation Department budget called for cuts to things that would have boosted U.S. shipping. At the same time, U.S. shipping, the industry actually declined. Guess what benefited? Chinese shipping, specifically Elaine Chow's father's company and the general industry in which it exists. And, oh, by the way, you've been paying attention to Mitch McConnell and Elaine Chow for the last multiple decades. Their fortunes have soared. Mitch McConnell's bias is for the status quo. He didn't like Donald Trump because he's a change agent. He tolerated him for 4 years, and as soon as Donald Trump was out of the White House, it's back to making money and business as usual for the McConnells and the Chows. And business as usual for Elaine Chow's family means what's good for China. That's just the facts.
And by the way, there are a lot of China-loving politicians that we're not crazy about. Joe Biden in China, and Donald Trump has pointed this out. It's okay. You're not immune from criticism because of your ethnicity. That's how I view things. And by the way, this is pretty hefty, a pretty hefty gift. Put it up on the screen, please. As reported by the New York Times, and I believe some of your colleagues, a major multi-million-dollar gift from Elaine Chow's father to Elaine Chow and Mitch McConnell. In 2008, James Chow gave the couple a gift of as much as $25 million, vaulting Mr. McConnell into the ranks of the richest senators. I mean, no wonder why this guy is so weird and so inconsistent and strange. I don't think he's putting America first.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I have a terrific father-in-law, and he has not done anything near that generous with me. No one does, right? And so, of course, when you look at the fact that Mitch McConnell's posture and policy towards China has softened dramatically, well, how many reasons could there be for that? Maybe 25 million, maybe more. Because, again, the way that the disclosure rules are, we don't know exactly what Mitch McConnell does. We don't know how much Mitch McConnell benefits from Elaine Chow's family's shipping dynasty. But we do know that it benefited when she was in a position to impact the competition in the United States. And this is part of China's overall strategy. They're not shy about it. It's called elite capture. Their job is to curry favor and essentially get leverage, financial or otherwise, with American elites. It's one of the reasons why they did business with the vice president's son, Hunter Biden.
As we say goodbye, also, let's lighten up about saying somebody has a death wish. It means acting in not your own best interests or your country's. And people use the term all the time, culturally as well. We showed journalists earlier. Watch this.
Some people in life, they play stupid, and I think they just have a death wish or something.
Society has a death wish.
Death Wish coffee, fiercely caffeinated.
It's a harmless term. It doesn't mean anything, and it's unbelievable how hypocritical they are. Eric Eggers, really appreciate it, from the Government Accountability Institute. Check it out. Great stuff there. GAI, G-A-I, which is very peculiar, but it works. G-A-I.org. Thank you, sir.
You can also go to the drilldown.com. That's easier.
Drill down. Very good. Thank you. And we'll be right back.